Welcome to the Crunch McDabble Show. This is the only show where we design a Pathfinder 2nd Edition character, build them up, and then test them in our punishing test dungeon. Today's show, the Goblin Pyro Tempest build. Well, I wanted to make a 2-weapon fighting build that could deal a lot of damage and keep up with the Great Sword Power Attack Fighter build. And one of the challenges with this is finding just the right weapon. And I finally settled on a fire-loving goblin build that dual wields 2 fire poi. What's a fire poi? A fire poi is a ball that you swing around on a cord or a chain, and then you can light it on fire and swing it around, make all patterns with it, and hit people with it, and it's great. It only does 1d4 damage, but you can also light them on fire using one action, and then it does an additional 1d4 fire damage on each hit, essentially making it a 2d4 weapon that's also agile, and it also has other traits. It's a twin weapon and it's a backswing weapon, so it adds extra damage in other ways too. So the big drawbacks with this fire poi weapon though is that it's an advanced weapon, so you're not going to be able to get your max training level with it until level 6, when you can take the advanced weapon feat, advanced weapon training with it. But other than that, this seemed like a fun build, a fun idea. The other thing with this build is that I started it out as a fighter and immediately dual classed it into a ranger at level 2. That way at level 4 you can take the feat twin takedown and get 4 strikes around at level 4, which is basically kind of front loading this build to get more abilities early on, as opposed to waiting till later and getting that 14th level fighter feat. So you get more fun early on while you're leveling up with the build, more attacks, and more interesting attacks. So here it is, the Goblin Fire Tempest build. We start off with our ancestry and we choose Goblin, and for our heritage we go with Unbreakable Goblin. It would have been more thematic, and it's also a fun idea if you wanted to do this too. You could go with the Charhide Goblin. That's the kind of fire-loving goblin, and they can light themselves on fire, and that'd be real thematic. But this is a little more survivable. We went with the Unbreakable Goblin. We get 4 hit points at first level and another 10 hit points at 13th level, just to make us more survivable. For our ancestry feats, we take Goblin Weapon Familiarity at level 1. That gets access to all the cool goblin weapons as you start to level up. The Dog Slicer is probably a great weapon for a 2-weapon fighter. You're probably not going to be using the fire poi until level 6 anyway, so you want some good weapons to use while you get up to that level, and some Dog Slicers would work out great. At level 5, you take the ancestry feat Burn It. Now the thing about this, the hope for this feat is that there's 1 extra point of persistent damage. The fire poi on critical hits deal 1 point of persistent damage. The Burn It feat says that you can add an extra point of persistent damage. I think it's a cool idea, and it gets you something from your ancestry feat. So level 5 I would take Burn It. Level 9 I would take Goblin Scuttle, just because I love free actions. I say it's a free action, it's not really a free action because it's a reaction, so you're using up a reaction, but when an ally lands next to you, you could take a step. It's just fun to be able to do things not on your turn, so I like feats like that. At 13, you take Unbreakable Goblin for those 10 more hit points, and at level 17, you take Skittering Scuttle for even more free movement, and there you go, actually half your movement speed when an ally lands next to you. Could be very useful. So those are the ancestry feats. For background, I chose Nomad for this character. I was looking for a background that had either Constitution or Strength, and Nomad seemed like a thematic way to go for this crazy goblin. So that's what I chose. Background Nomad, take Constitution and Strength, and that seemed right for this guy. For class, we start off as a fighter. For a first level fighter feat, we take Double Slice. At second level, we take the Ranger Dedication. I hate the dedications because you give up a feat basically in the hopes of taking feats in another class, but we do it for this build. The only reason we want to do this is to get access to the Ranger feat Twin Takedown. So at level 4, we take Twin Takedown. At 6th level, we take advanced weapon training and choose flails. This gives us the ability to make the fire poi a martial weapon, so we can benefit from the fighter training with that. At 8th level, we take twin parry. This allows you to have a little bit of defense, and this is required for feat later on. That's good. It boosts AC a little bit, but we don't really care about that. At 10th level, though, we take twin riposte. And now we can make attacks of opportunity when someone critically misses an attack against us, so that adds to our number of attacks of opportunities we're going to get. And then at 12th level, we take combat reflexes for an extra attack of opportunity each round. So now we have more chances to get attacks of opportunity, and we're getting more attacks of opportunity per round. At 14th level, we take improved twin riposte, and now we have 3 attacks of opportunity each round. At 16th level, we take twin defense, and now we no longer have to use an action each round to get into twin parry stance, just once a combat. And finally, 18th and 20th level, we take savage critical and weapon supremacy. For our general feats, at 3rd level, we take toughness to get 3 extra hit points and 1 more per level. If we're building a survivable character, I like survivable. That's a good feat to take. At 7th level, we take die hard, so you die at dying 5 instead of dying 4. At 11th level, we take fast recover, again keeping with the survivable theme. At 15th level, numb to death, and then at 19th level, you could take fleet for more movement speed, or cloud jump. It doesn't matter that much, but whatever you like there. We just want to keep all those feats survivable type feats, so we keep from dying. For our ability breakdown, from our ancestry, we choose the strength as our free choice, so we get +2 dex, +2 charisma, and -2 wisdom. From our background nomad, we take the +2 con and +2 strength. From our class, we have +2 strength, and from our free boosts, we choose strength, con, dex, of course, and then we bump our wisdom up a little bit, back up to average, I guess. +2 wisdom for 10 wisdom. Our final breakdown: strength 18, dex 14, con 14, wisdom 10, int 10, charisma 12. Typical fighter build, I guess. All leveling ability boosts go into these 4 abilities at 5, 10, 15, and 20. Those abilities being strength, con, dex, and wisdom. And so our final abilities end up with 22 strength, 21 con, 20 dex, 18 wisdom. So there you have it. That's the Pyro Tempest. The Pyro Tempest Goblin build. Tough, crazy, unpredictable, and dealing out a ton of damage. But if we want to see how good this character really is, we got to take him into the test dungeon and see how he stacks up. The Gauntlet. It's a place where adventurers go to test their prowess against the monsters that lurk therein. Today, this long-forgotten temple is occupied by 2 hulking trolls, monstrous humanoids hunched over with bulbous facial features. When these creatures extend to their full height, they're 14 feet tall of burly, monstrous muscle. Rolling in for initiative. The trolls, they have a perception of +11 perception, and they roll in, so they get a 25. That's a tie, and the tie goes to the monsters. Monsters always win that initiative tie. Trolls, they're going to stomp their way up to that intruding goblin. Trolls, they're CR5 with an armor class of 20 and a whopping 115 hit points. Their attacks have a 10-foot reach. They can bite or claw. They have a +14 to hit, and their claws can rend, which means if they hit with the first 2 attacks, their 3rd attack is an auto hit, which is great for avoiding that huge multiple attack penalty on the 3rd attack. And be wary, they have the ability to make attacks of opportunity, which makes it dangerous to walk around or cast spells near them. Most important though, trolls regenerate 20 hit points each round, making trying to kill them a Sisyphus challenge. Sisyphus, that's a Greek legend there. However, they do have weakness 10 to fire. First attack had to spend a couple actions hunting prey and igniting the fire poi, but was able to make 2 attacks with no penalty And on one hit, critical hit, and missed on the other attack for 29 damage because of the weakness to fire, plus 2 persistent damage. Trolls making 3 claw attacks, trying to get that rend off for the free damage. 3 misses on the first troll. It's difficult to hit the armor class 25. And on the second troll, we had 1 hit out of 3 for 13 slashing damage to our Goblin Pyro. He has 96 hit points, he's fine. And the troll does have to take 2 points of persistent damage plus another 10 for its weakness to fire, and then rolls and fails to put out its fire on DC 15 flat check. The Goblin Pyro is up, and here is the first chance to make 4 attacks in 1 round, 2 with no penalty, and 2 with the third multiple attack penalty of -8 for an agile weapon. And we have 1 critical hit, 3 regular hits, all 4 hit. For a whopping 85 points of damage. That weakness to fire accounted for 40 damage there. And the troll is up. It was trolls, now it's troll singular. And he looks nervously over at his big buddy who just took a face plant next to him and is still sizzling from fire poi fire. And he will swing wildly away. 1 hit. For another 15 slashing damage, but he failed to get the second hit to get the rend off, and the goblin's sitting safely at a solid 68 hit points. And here is the Pyro Tempest once again burning up actions, having to hunt prey, having to hunt a new prey, and to take a step to avoid the opportunity attack from the big old troll. But even with 1 attack, it's still pretty good, making a twin takedown attack. And hitting with both attacks 2 crits for another 37 damage and 2 persistent damage. And the troll is up. He's just flailing away trying to hit that goblin, but it's hard to hit him in armor class 25. And in the back of his mind, he knows that at the end of his turn, he's still going to be taking that 2 persistent damage. And he's weak to it, so it's not even going to be 2 damage, it's going to be 12 damage, so he knows that burn is coming. And the Goblin Pyro is up. That persistent damage, that was the setup, damaging the troll on its own turn, and now making 4 attacks, each one with the potential to add in 10 bonus fire damage. This troll is set up, and now for the takedown, 4 attacks. 1 critical hit, 1 miss, and 2 regular hits, so there's 30 damage right off the bat. And rolling in the critical damage, 20 critical damage for 73 total damage. And down goes the troll. This has been the Crunch McDabble Show. I've been your host, Crunch McDabbles. This is the only show where we break down your favorite builds and test them in our own test dungeon so that you can win the fight against evil in an imaginary world. Now go do it.